stilts. And there he was playing away. Of course, I started laughing again. That was Richard. And we did that series that came on television, Marching Us to War. And we had all kinds of things to do there, didn't we? During that series. That was something else. I had some great willing helpers when I was in the bands department. Richard, Ray Stedman Allen, a wonderful helper. Every year I'd say to him, I need a new piece for the Royal Albert Hall. And he'd come up with something fresh. Then they transferred him to Australia. And I thought, well, I still wrote to him saying I didn't need a piece for Royal Albert Hall. And he forgot about the time change and rang me at 3 o'clock one morning and started to sing me the piece. And he's not a very good singer, is it, Ray? And he was moaning away on the other end of the phone. I said, oh, it's just the piece for it. Well, anyway, it came and was great. But he was a masterpiece, so helpful. And every year would turn up with great music for us. And never let us down. I remember going to do for the 1990 Congress, where he'd written the doctrines, and he came with me to certain song brigades because I wanted him to conduct a piece at the Albert Hall, so he had to come to rehearsals with me. We went to Ramsgate to do one there, do a rehearsal. All the corps around came in. And it was in the middle of winter, January, we drew up by the seaside. Ray got straight out the car, ran down to the seafront, took off his socks and paddled. In January. He came back, his feet were all blue. And, he said, oh, I'm part of the sea. The sea's in me. He said, being a sailor, I couldn't help it. Ray Bowes, another great supporter. Ray was my straight man. He didn't want to be, but he was. And I had a lot of fun with Ray, so many occasions. One time, we had a headquarters. We used to have a carol service for the headquarters itself. You know, people at IHQ. And Arnold Brown said to me one year, oh dear, could you do something to cheer it up? He said, it's such a miserable affair. So I said what I can do. So I got one of the old song, what was it now? Soldier, soldier, won't you marry me? With a musket fire. Oh no, I cannot marry you. I have no coat to put on. I have no trousers to put on. So I got the girls in the song singing a barrel of clothes. I said, all kinds, underwear, overwear, fill it with clothes. And then I managed to get this, I did one of the Christmas carols and put this tune in the middle of it. So it went into this. And we started to sing. And I said, no, this is no good. We actually need a sailor, a soldier. And Ray Bowes is going, the very men, I said, the very men, Ray Bowes. So I said, Ray, take your jacket off. You meant telling Ray to take his jacket off. He was always so absolutely. So he very reluctantly took his jacket off. And of course they got long underpants. And every verse as we came to this bit, he had to put this extra stuff on. And poor old Ray. The next year, I thought Arnold Brown said, we want something else next year. So the next year I thought we'd do Good King Wenceslas. So we started singing, and I stopped again and said, no, this is no good. We need a King Wenceslas. The very man, I said, the very man. So we got a crown for him and some soup. And then I said at one point, in his master, I'll be the page. In his master's steps he trod, so we started to go round the hall. He said, I hate you. Oh, what a guy. He was a marvellous straight man. Once at the Royal Albert Hall, I said, we'll ask the staff band to play the opening phrase of the tune. I don't know whether he played the whole tune through and the chorus. And I'm going like this, and people all started laughing in the audience. And he turned around, they're all laughing. So he walked back over to me and said, if you spoke clearly, we would know what you wanted. And then he walked, of course everyone clapped in the audience. He walked back over to the band. I said, if you turned your ear trumpet up, you would hear what we were doing. Oh, dear old Ray, he was a great character, he really was. It was my privilege to work with these wonderful people. You know, people who are great characters, creative people who we asked them to do something, they did it. And what they did was good. Never let you down. Wonderful. Dear old Eric Ball, you know, I had the tenacity to take some of his music and vocalise it without telling him. And the chief of the staff sent me one day and said, look, we're going to give Eric some sort of commendation, not long after he came back to the army. And we're going to do it at the Royal Albert Hall. That's fine. So I'd arranged one of Eric's pieces with the big chorus. Didn't tell Eric. And Eric came down and accepted this thing. And just about to leave the platform, I went over to him and said, Eric, here's the baton. We're going to play this. Oh, I said, and the Thompsons are going to take part. And I think it was Kingdom Triumphant or something like that. And when he heard all these voices, top of his wonderful music, that lo he comes with clouds descending. Oh, it was an electric atmosphere. When he came off, Eric said to me, you could do that to any of my music, any time you want. And I did to a number of his pieces. Dear Eric. Trevor Davis, he's my national bandmaster. He was with me a lot. Les Condon, who I spoke about already. Trevor Davis, Eric Ball, so many people. All these people helped me. And then the poets that I came into contact with. Am I all right for 5 minutes? Yeah. Catherine Baird. I never met Catherine Baird. I got a letter from the training college saying they'd asked her to write the sessional song for that year, and she said she would if I would write the music. I'd never met the lady. I must say I was very flattered when I got this letter. So I wrote the music and went to see her one day, and she lived in a little flat in Balham, in a bit of a rough road. It wasn't much of a road she lived in. And I walked in this road and knocked on the door, and I thought the scruffy place, you know, the road all seemed needed sweeping and that. The first thing she said to me, hello, she said, did you see those lovely trees in the road? I thought, yes, I'm in the presence of a different person here. And this wonderful lady, I went in this little room with her and played the music over to her, and she said she liked it. And then we sat and talked for an hour. It was wonderful. Some years later I asked her if she would come and speak to song leaders at some record. Oh, I couldn't do that. She said, no, I couldn't. She could see I was a bit disappointed. She said, I'll come and answer a few questions. I said, well, that's even better. She said, 10 minutes? I said, oh, that's fine, yes. 2 hours she was going, and one of the songster leaders that was there took it all down in shorthand. And you can hear the result of that in a book that's published called Pen of Flame. It's all in there. This wonderful lady. Oh, she was tremendous. She really was. And then another lady I knew, a lady called Ivy Morby. She was from Southall, a court where they had lots of musicians. And for instance, Eric came from Southall, Phil Catlin came from Southall, Don Osgood, both of the Pipers, Les and Stanley Piper, they all came from there. 2 or 3 poets, including Ivy Morby. What a person she was. Lovely lady. the last time I saw her, she was in retirement at a home that my mother was in at Camberwell. And she'd become the National Home League Secretary. And she sent out a letter saying she didn't want Home League singing anymore. Join the Home League. If you cannot join the band, join the Home League. I don't want them singing that more. She sent a letter around. So when I went to see her this time, I said, what about Ivan? What about the letter you sent round? So both of us sat and sang. If you care to come and risk it, there's a cup of tea and a biscuit. Join the Home League. Dear Ivy Morby. Wonderful people. Well, we better call at the end of that bit. I've got just a kind of before we finish. Is that all right? This is Catherine Baird's song. Well, she was the most remarkable woman I ever met. She was unbelievable. How she came up with those lovely words. And she just did. And yet she was such a practical sort of person. She asked me once if I could ever, did you ever just sit? I said, you mean sit and think? No, she said, not think, just sit. Mind completely blank. I said, well, I should be thinking, am I thinking? She said, yes, you're not going to be able to do it. But it is possible to do. The most wonderful lady, incredible person. And it was my great privilege to write music for her. That she didn't hear that was written after she died. But we did do a number of songs that she'd heard. A lovely person. Right, well, we're nearly through. There is a section in the book called On the Halls. Some of this appeared in the what used to be called the musician. But that paper went out for some reason or other. But I've enlarged them, made them bigger than they were in there. Of some of the places: Clapton Congress Hall, Westminster Central Hall, Wembley, Sunbury Court. You name them, all the places that the army have used. Where once the army was there, the Lord came and dwelt among us, and the most rough place became a place of where God was. That was what was remarkable. Can you think of a worse place than Wembley Arena? A terrible place. But in the moments of silence there, you felt God's presence with us in a most wonderful way. Well, as you know, Jill died and went to heaven, and I thought life had finished. I came and I was at Bandmasters Council's when I interviewed Ray Manella. Gave him an interview. I made him say a few things he didn't want to say, but he did. One bit in there, I got him to swear. He'd been to councils at SB&S councils at Sunbury Court, and something must have annoyed him there. And he went up and he kicked the tree. Damn, this tree had been kicking. So I said, when I got to, I said, when you kicking that tree, what were you saying? And I got him to say it in the assembly where everyone laughed. Poor Ray, such a person. I got a letter asking me, invited me to New York, what they call a profile night, where they take a composer and use his music for the whole evening. So I said, yeah, I'll come. So I went, and I'd been invited before, but my duties in the bands department didn't give me time to go. Anyway, I went up the stairs at headquarters and bumped into Kathy. Now, I've met Kathy previous when I went with Steve here to Ukraine. We were invited to go and do a music camp in Ukraine. The army had been going there 9 months. Was that about 9 months?
3
Yeah.
3 or 4.
3 or 4 months.
Oh, you mean in Ukraine?
Ukraine.
3 or 4.
Yeah. We got there was 150 kids, all in uniform. I couldn't believe it, all these kids. And we ran a music school there. They couldn't play, they didn't know music or any of that. So we had to hand out instruments, and you looked at a kid and said, you look like a bass player, give him a bass. And one of our members in the corps had been around all the different corps in Britain begging instruments that they didn't want. So we took about nearly 100 instruments over. And one kid there, I said, oh, you look like a baritone player, give him a baritone. The baritone had got a case. Made a terrible noise. That's all he ever did. I thought that baritone was too big for him, so I gave him a tenor horn, but it didn't have a case. one of the interpreters said, the boy wants to speak to you. I said, okay, what do you want to tell me? He said, playing the horn gives him a headache. Well, will you tell him when he plays the baritone it gives me a headache? Anyway, I gave him the baritone, and the very final night, we had a final festival, didn't we? And the band managed to play a piece, and he's going, and I'll tell you it. So that was it. That was Zimbabwe, that was when we went to Ukraine. A most remarkable occasion. I can remember the first rehearsal we did outside, we did the rehearsals outside. I turned back to the trombones, turned back round, the cornet players all sit on the ground. I say, come on you young guys, get up, you know. So that they got up, and doing that turn, the trombones were sitting there. Then I realised that these kids were living where there had been this Chernobyl disaster. And it affected them that they couldn't last too long. Standing up was too much for them. So I felt a bit bad about that. But, and the major here, Steve was with us, and he did some meetings there. You didn't speak in Ukraine, did you?
No.
You translated. I know we slept in a room together.
We did.
Where we had flies coming all night,
Yes.
remember?
Yes. I remember you in your underpants going around killing them.
And we took some old instruments. One, we took an old bass trombone that wasn't playable. And the ladies next door said their toilet wouldn't flush. So I went round this old bass trombone and got it. Eventually it worked. That was UK. What an experience. When we got there, we couldn't get through the airport. There was so long waiting. And Kathy suddenly appeared at the door, went right to me, I came up. And she got me through. The others all had to wait, but I went through. And they got a concert on something she wanted me to be at. And anyway, when I went back for this profile night, the first person I met going in the headquarters was Kathy again. So that was nice. And, we got talking, and she brought me some lemonade. I went to the staff band practice, and she came and looked after me. The next day, the person that was going to take me on tour wasn't well. I couldn't do it. So Kathy did it. She said, where do you want to go? I said, well, I'd like to see where that thing was, the 9/11, you know, the airplane flying in, killing all those people. So she took me there. Then she took me to the mortuary where she had worked when all they were bringing the bodies from all those people that were killed in the 9/11 disaster. And as they came in, she would pray over them one by one on that. And the chief medical officer, I met him as well, he said to me, you know, the Red Cross got a lot of kudos over this, but it was the Salvation Army that did the work. And this woman here was the woman that actually prayed over the bodies when they came in. After we came out, they said, where'd you like to go now? I said, I don't care where it is. So she took me to a diner where they had 250 things on the menu. 900 was it? I looked at it and said, what on earth do I like? So she chose what I wanted. And she's still doing it. And then she took me to the cemetery at an army cemetery with lots of well-known army people buried, including Evangeline Booth, and lots of army musicians that I would have known their names of and that kind of thing. Herbert Booth, he's got a place there as well. When we got back to the when we got back to the hall for the evening concert, the band were having a tea. We sat down and I said, well, where did Kathy take you? I said, we went to the mortuary, then we went to the cemetery. They laughed, they thought it was so funny, didn't they? Well, I did that, we did the evening meeting. The next weekend, the following day, the band was going to be away at a town called Kingston, some few 100 miles or so from where we were. I said to Kathy, "You're going to come, aren't you?" She said, "No,